Hey guys, welcome to another episode of FemFlex Friday. I'm Whitney Jones here with my co-host Alina Popa, and we have a very special guest today. He is a transform specialist, and he's here with us in studio. Chris Powell, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You have a long list of amazing accolades because you have accomplished so much already, and you still have so many things in the works. So we have a lot to talk about today.
Yes, it is going to be an action-packed hour. So
Always,
let's
of course.
Buckle up.
But before we go into your transformation area, I want to know of your years or the time when you were an athlete, when you competed, right? Because you competed in NPC too, right?
I did, and I've got a special little card now that says IFBB.
There you go, IFBB Pro, right?
I made it all the way. Yes, it was amazing. I must say, so it was a 4-year journey when I was competing, and it was. I loved every minute of it because I've been into fitness since I was 14, and I've explored every aspect of it. When I was a little kid, it was just all about getting bigger. Then I got into sports and performance, and then I got bit by the CrossFit bug for like a good 8 years or so, and that was fun. I did some competitions there. Then I moved into bodybuilding, and it was such an incredible journey of discovery of the human body. And I went into it though, especially having a background in fitness, I went into it with very realistic expectations of, this is how my body's gonna change, and this is how I need to eat coming into it and coming out of it. And it was fun, really fine-tuning my body.
Fine-tuning everything, yes.
In phases, as I was going through the bulking phase. And even, we've all been there, even as you're trying to gain weight and you start getting, packing on some pounds, you start getting a little fluffier.
And also factoring the genes, right? The genetic factor in there, right?
Absolutely, and finding what works for me and what doesn't work for me. It's so much trial and error, and then you have other people that look phenomenal, they say, this worked for me, and you try it, it doesn't work for you. And then someone else, and so you get a lot of feedback, and a lot of people saying, okay, try this, and over time, especially with the right coaches, they guide you in the right direction. I was in good hands. My entire journey was with Whitney and her crew, and so they led me through it, and it was fun because I'm a coach, but I got to be coached.
Yes.
For 4 years.
We've talked about that a lot. Coaches need coaches
it is very
all the time.
Important. Yeah, absolutely.
All the time.
So you got your pro card in 2018, right?
Yeah.
And are you ever going to compete as a pro?
It's funny. So I've gotten that question a few times. Right now, my life is so busy.
Yes.
And we've all heard this before, but it just is. I'm in this next chapter of my life, and I've just found myself crazy doing the single dad thing and running a couple businesses and a nonprofit. So would I like to? I think it'd be a blast.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm done in the bodybuilding world. I think it could be a lot of fun to explore it again. However, the pro stage is it's a different world.
Yes.
It is a different world out there. So I need to be able to devote a lot of time and energy to bringing the best package to that pro stage.
He doesn't half-ass anything, let's be real. So unless you have, but you're realistic, which is very smart. A lot of athletes don't think this way. If you can't give 110%, you're going to wait because there's no rush. It's always going to be here.
Absolutely.
But it's smart. And I've seen you train, and I see your dedication to your businesses, your family, your goals. So you go all in. So I think we'll see you're going to be on there one day. It's just, you probably need life to settle a little bit.
I do. And honestly, if I was going to step on stage, on a pro stage, I would take it very, very seriously. And also, it's important to me to show respect to the industry and the other competitors up there. I'm not going to go up there with half the effort going into some sort of prep. No, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to give it my best because, again, I want to honor the industry because the time and energy that not just the athletes put into it, but everybody, the whole supporting cast behind this industry, it's phenomenal. And so I would definitely want to pay them the respect that they deserve.
I wish, as a promoter, I wish everybody would have that approach.
I know,
that would be fantastic.
You actually appreciate the back end too? Wow.
Yes.
Well, I do because I've seen the work that goes into it. I've lived in that world for quite some time, and most people don't. They see the athletes up on stage, but boy, there's the entire business that goes into making that happen. it's really impressive. If I could just if there's one word, it's impressive. And there's a lot of people working around the clock to make that happen. So again, respect, honor, very important.
So you brought up production. Now we can't have this segment without talking about, you kind of had this huge rise in fame through your show, Extreme Weight Loss on ABC.
Right.
So tell us how that came about, how you got started, and some of your experience with that show, because that's major transformation.
It was. And so that show, the whole thing happened. If you rewind back to 2002, 2003, I ended up landing a gig here in Arizona on Good Morning Arizona, which is the morning news. And I was the fitness guy. On Monday mornings, I would come in and I would just talk about, best button thigh exercises and, losing, basically like first steps to beginning a diet, all this other stuff. And I found something really unique when I was doing my segments. I bring all the energy, I get super excited, and at first when I was on there, I was throwing out all kinds of jargon. Glycogen depletion and super compensation, all this stuff. And a producer pulled me aside and she's like, hey.
No.
She's like, you got all the energy, but nobody has a clue as to what the heck you're talking about. She's like, make it easy for people to understand. Focus
Don't
on
eat sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
Dumb it down.
She said, focus on weight loss. I mean, the majority of our viewers are women. And she said, talk to them, tell them what they really need to know. You're here to help them through the journey. So I started skewing my segments, and what happened was really unique. Granted, the email started pouring in and the response started coming in from the segments, but a lot of the response was really wild, because some of the viewers were coming back and they're saying, help me, I'm 450 pounds, I'm 500 pounds, I lost my foot from diabetes, and so I can't walk, or I've been stuck in my house for a year and a half, and this is right here in the state of Arizona.
Yeah.
And this is back in 2002, 2003, and so there were a couple documentaries that you would see on those categorized as super obese, beyond morbidly obese, and I realized they're out there and they want help and they're suffering. And so I started gearing some of my segments toward that. And I ended up getting an email from a gentleman who reached out to me. He was a year older than me. I was 24 then. He was 25, and he reached out and he said, I'm 630 pounds. I'm just a year older than you. I'm stuck in my basement.
630 pounds.
630. He said, the doctor just left my house, and he said, I will not live to see 30. And he's like, this is not the life I dreamed for myself. I want to fall in love. I want to have kids. I want all these things. Can you help me? And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And after a week, he left his address and everything. I literally just got in my car. I drove to his house in Gilbert. I knew he was going to be there. He was in his basement. And I met him, and we clicked. In 15 minutes, we were laughing. We were boys. And I'm like, you're the coolest dude ever. I don't know where this is going to go, but I'll see you on Tuesday. And I showed up every other day. For 2 years, he ended up losing 400 pounds, became one of my best friends. He ended up moving in with me. We ended up living together for 2 years after. 400 pounds, he lost.
400
pounds? And didn't they do a show on that? Okay.
In 2 years, he lost 400 pounds. Got him down to the 229 pounds. He got certified to be a trainer. And then, he posted, this is how the whole thing happened. There's a story behind how he actually made it on TV, because I'm just a trainer from Arizona. He posted his before and after pics on MySpace. Remember MySpace?
Yeah.
And it went viral. And before you know it, we were getting calls from 2020 and The View and Oprah, and they're like, how did you guys do this? We got to have you on the show. So we ended up doing this crazy circuit of all the different shows in America, like national shows. They're flying us all over the place. They wanted to because it was the most phenomenal transformation.
I mean, that's massively impressive.
It was, and it was massively transformative for me too.
Yeah.
Going into it thinking, oh, it's diet and exercise. I didn't realize at the same time there's such a powerful emotional component to this transformation.
And that's what we want to tackle
what
too.
we're talking about,
But that's where you started from, and that's how you got that show, right? So obviously you have, how many cases all in total did you have on that show?
On the show, we've done 76 transformations.
76 transformations.
76,
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's an amazing number.
I'm blessed.
And we were just talking about it, because we were talking about how people, lose all of this weight, and then they go home and they relapse, right? So what was the success of them sticking to their progress, the percentages of success when they went back to their environment?
So I don't know what the actual percentage is,
Okay.
but I would say at least half of them have gained the weight back.
Yeah.
Half of them.
Yep, at least half. And then another good chunk of them, and I'm just going to throw these out there. I don't know exactly what the numbers are. I would say a quarter have gained weight back, but they might have gained 30, 40, 50 pounds back, and they found a happy normal there. Which,
Okay.
by the way, they lost 200. I'm good with that.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
a win. And then about a quarter of them have kept the weight off, which is really, really amazing. Like, it's so cool to see that they're continuing to live those principles and they're still applying it every single day.
Yeah.
But the difference between them, there's different things that they have done to
Yeah.
ensure that kind of success or not success.
But
Do you feel like some people don't take ownership and they need someone else to push them? And that's where they fall back into it. Whereas the people who have been successful, they're like, all right, I can do this. I've had all the tools. Now I need to implement it on my own. And they're just stronger mentally.
Yes, everyone who has achieved long-term success has taken full responsibility for themselves. So there's no victim mentality
Yeah.
there. They take responsibility for their weight gain or their weight loss, and so that is a big difference in that.
Sure.
And it's easy though, especially. Like, and the way that we think about it is really it's addiction, it's rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And if you look at any addict, it's not just a food thing. Anyone who relapses, they spend a lot of time pointing the finger at everyone around them because it
victim
hurts.
attitude,
It hurts to look within.
For sure.
And so it's a lot easier to play the victim and for everything to be everyone else's fault.
So
And
is a part of this process, a component of it, is it showing them where that that issue comes from within themselves and addressing it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, early on, I mean, one of the very first steps that we talk about in the process, but then you have to practice it. Like, it's one thing to talk
How
about
reluctant are they to eat though?
to
To this process, when you bring it up, how reluctant are they psychologically to actually seeing the guilt?
It depends on the individual.
Okay.
Some people are very open and they're very changeable and moldable, and others are very, very closed and protective. And because a lot of them, as far as guilt goes or shame, I mean, some of that's very deep rooted, and a lot of times we don't get to the root of that till 3-6 months into the transformation. Others are like, let's go. I am giving full control over to you. Guide me through. I trust you. There's a trust factor there. A lot of it comes from trust, because I think the more, and this is a general sweeping statement, but what I've experienced is sometimes the more trauma people have experienced in their past, the longer it takes to break through for them to actually trust. And I get that.
Yeah.
And we must
Because it's a response mechanism,
that's
right?
it. Absolutely. So we have to be very respectful of that and not impose. I'm stepping in. I'm your coach, and you need to take responsibility, and you need to do this, because already they're in such a defensive place because they've been so hurt before. So sometimes it takes
they're in
3
front
months.
of cameras, pretty much
Yeah.
staying naked there in front of the whole world.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That takes courage to start
For
with.
sure.
Incredible courage. And then to show that, like, to show them the respect that they deserve for having that kind of courage. You know, there's something that we live by in transformation is, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And when you can
Sure, that
show
makes
them
sense.
genuine compassion and the fact that you really care for them and you believe in them.
Yes.
And it takes time, but that over and over and over, then people will start to open up, they'll start to trust, and then I can step in as a coach and say, hey, in the most loving way, you're playing a victim right now.
Yeah.
It's important for you to take responsibility. But if I came out day one, guns blazing like that, you better leave.
Push back.
Game
Okay,
over.
we're gonna sit down and figure out what's wrong with you.
Right.
And what did your father did to you?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. True transformation is a very long, drawn out process. It takes
and
time.
people need to realize that. It is, like you said, it's a process.
Yeah, it is.
We have several more questions for you because
boy.
this is just the tipping point of so much, but we're going to take a quick break, so we'll be right back. And we're back with transformation specialist Chris Powell. And before the break, we were talking about the extreme transformations, extreme weight loss, but it's still something outside of the show on ABC. You're still doing this, you're still helping people.
Right.
So for people who are in that realm, you know, we're not talking athletes right now, but they have a lot of weight to lose. How do you begin? What is the process in regards to the physical component, not the mental, but getting them to just get moving?
Right. So there's two different processes. One, if you're on the TV show, there's a certain process that we follow. Or if I'm just working with a client outside of television, which one do we want to talk about?
Let's start with the TV first.
Okay, so here's the thing. With the TV show, there's a 1 year timeline. It's actually a 9-month timeline to help these individuals lose as much as they possibly can to see if they can even qualify for like a skin removal surgery. So the clock is ticking.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more aggressive. So as far as and we all know nutrition controls everything. It's the driving force behind everything. So we really focus on the nutrition side of things first. So for me personally, what I like to do is I want to give people control with their nutrition. And first of all, I teach them what happens when they eat a very specific way. So of course, protein is the base of everything we do. So we're always making sure that foundation is set. But then we actually, when we're on the show, we follow a relatively low-fat, high-carb diet.
Okay.
Go figure. I mean, look, you guys know exactly what, because it's all about manipulation. We're not scared of carbs at all here because we know how freaking amazing they are, right? And we've used them to build and manipulate our bodies as far as carb cycling and high fat and low carb and everything, all the above. So for them, it's really interesting because I come and I'm like, guys, it's actually going to be a relatively higher carb, low fat diet. And they're like, what? I thought carbs are bad. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
We're going to change your thought process here. And we actually have them follow high carb, low fat for 5 days straight. Then we switch them to actually a low carb, higher fat diet for 2 days. And that's how we actually introduce them to how their body feels when they're consuming more carbs and lower fat or higher fat and lower carbs. And just to see, and it's wild because everybody has an experience. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my body's responding like this. And then we tell them what's gonna happen. When you switch over to the lower carb, you're gonna flush some water and you're gonna start peeing a lot more, but no, constantly, we also, you know what? I got ahead of myself. We set a hydration foundation first. So everyone across the board is consuming for them, it's not half their body weight in ounces, but we'll tailor the hydration just so we know that they're drinking enough water.
That is the number, because they're full of toxins anyway.
Yes.
You got to get rid of those, right?
So we call it, we start the water wheel. And once we have them drinking water throughout the day, now we'll set the protein foundation. Now here's high carb, low fat. And then we're gonna swap them, and then we play around with that so they can see how their body reacts. That's fun. But then as we go, that's why we set the foundation of it all. But then everyone is different. You guys know this. Some respond to a higher carb, lower fat diet beautifully. Others, they slow down and their body's not responding nearly as well as they want. And so we start to tweak it. So we start to play with that. That's the approach when we're on the show, because I have their undivided attention. I got them for 3 months in a bubble. We're taking them through that before I send them out into the real world. Now, real world application. The very first thing I do if I'm going to work with anybody as we're going through the journey of transformation, here's the catch. We make changes in their diet, but there's a massive mental component behind it. So I literally have them just pick one thing that they want to change with their diet. It might be removing the soda from lunch. It might be swapping out Coke with Diet Coke. It might be, instead of 3 bowls of Frosted Flakes at dinner, they're gonna have a big bowl of jasmine rice, and even with some salt and a little bit of butter, whatever that might be. So we really, it's a very individualized approach when I'm working with people outside of the show, and it's a one step at a time approach. Whereas on the show, it's structured and it's like, let me show you now the magic of nutrition and how to control your body. And they go, whoa, this is so cool. And I'm like, now I've got you. But I have their undivided attention for 3 months.
So how do you think that they react more to the psychological stress of I have to do it in 3 months? Or do they react better to the let's take it one step at a time?
Long term, one step
Yes.
at a time.
Okay.
Long term, it's one step at a time. The psychological approach, here's the thing, and you can't get away from this whenever people sign up for a TV show, and it's one of the powerful drivers behind, there is success that we can have when there's that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw out the word ego. We all have an ego, but at the same time, when people sign up to be on a TV show, they know that in 9 months or in a year, when they step on that stage, they got to face the music, and we're gonna air your story whether you made it or whether you didn't.
Yeah.
There's a lesson to be learned in both of them, and so. Nobody, when they're actually a part of the show, nobody wants to look bad in front of the world.
Sure.
As they're sharing their journey of transformation, and so as much as you think you want to play the victim card, at the end of the day, nobody does because they know they're going to have to face the music in 9 months. So compliance is much easier when there's cameras in your face. I'm being totally honest here.
Oh yeah.
And so
It's straight accountability all hours of the day.
it is, because you got to pay the piper in 12 months or in 9 months. And so that's a very powerful driver. But it's also that there's two sides to that sword, because as strong as that is to get them across the finish line, to actually have them comply, and they comply, and look what happens. We get the most incredible jaw-dropping transformations.
Yes.
You see what the human body is capable of doing. And by the way, a lot of people think, oh, what do you have? I'm eating 1,200 calories or 1,500 calories? No, they're eating 2,400 calories. You know this because we got to go through this as we're going through the bodybuilding journey. You're eating a lot, but we're doing it smart. We're creating very small calorie deficits, and we're stepping them down the wrong way. We don't slash them. So they're blown away at the amount that they actually need to eat. But at the same time, going back to the psychological component and the pressure, while that pressure gets them to comply and they can see, oh my gosh, my body can change. I can lose 200 pounds in a year, and look at me now. I got muscle and I'm jacked. I feel good. At the same time, when the pressure and the cameras you stepped on stage, you're done. Cameras are gone. Now you're left with the lessons that you learned over the last year. Are you going to apply them moving forward?
It's up to them.
That's
the hard
they have free agency. It is theirs, and there's no one. They don't have to step on a stage. They have no one to answer to. And so that high level of accountability, it's gone. So the difference between those who continue to keep the weight off and those that go back, they will actually search and they'll find that accountability. They'll sign up for races. They always start the next journey. Whoever starts the next journey, they keep it off.
Yeah.
But those that just go right back to what they were doing, you'll see them, they relapse. The same thing in any kind of addiction though, whether it's drugs or alcohol or sex or whatever it is.
Sure.
If you're not constantly working towards something, or you don't embrace a lifestyle, a lot of them will stop what they're doing and they become coaches themselves.
Sure, yeah.
They keep it off.
Yeah.
But those that don't, they go back into their old lifestyle. You're constantly fighting a battle that's difficult to win.
Sure.
Well,
if you don't change the environment that originally got you into that bad position, you're just going to fall back into it.
Bingo. Yeah.
That can be rough. That can be rough.
How about medications, right? Because you have a lot of these people that are obese, right? And then right before they start a transformation, you know that because of the extra weight they carry, they're on tons of medications, right? Once they start losing this weight, what happens there?
Well, that's where some real magic happens, because and obviously our people, we had a full staff of doctors on the show, and they go through a battery of medical exams. But I don't know of any folks that were on our show that weren't on a cocktail of different medications.
What was the most prevalent among them?
Metformin.
Okay.
Lipitor. There's a lot of statins. Different kinds of statins, and obviously metformin is a really important one because, here we go, blood pressure and high blood sugar. So it's like those, and pre-diabetes or diabetes. We're dealing with those a lot. Some antidepressants, and so I would say those were the three top ones that we saw.
Okay.
As people went through the journey, though, and this is the fun part. Because the viewing audience got to see a physical transformation. That's great.
Right.
But it's what happened on the inside.
Yes.
As far as A1C, blood pressure, cholesterol. I mean, everything, all of their numbers, as their biometrics, you just see them all coming down. And then just the overall sense of well-being, self-love, self-esteem, confidence. I mean, all those things they go into, but just looking at just the medical aspect of it,
all the
and
data.
what was all the raw data. It was beautiful to see that side of the transformation that we really didn't get to share on TV because, I know for the viewing audience, it's like that's not as gripping as a before and after. We'll give that to you too.
Oh, yeah.
But the real magic was happening as far as their true health from the inside out.
Very
Because let's be
satisfying.
honest, if some of these people who are in those extreme situations, they come to you, they're on a long list of medications. It's only going to get worse. Just like your client that you started with, their lifespan is shortened significantly if they don't change it.
Absolutely.
So these extreme transformations is life-saving in so many aspects of overall health, but then also mentally, and getting them that confidence and being able to then have the accountability to then own it and be like, this is what I want for myself.
Yes.
It's not easy, but if you can have someone there to help initiate it, once they start seeing the results and owning it, then it's something. That's why we're all in the sport and athletes and doing what we're doing, because we like to have that control of knowing what we're capable of doing.
Absolutely.
So in that situations when they finished, let's say they finished their time, they lost all of this, how do you send them out into the world? Do you have a maintenance plan for them?
We do. But the thing is, the maintenance plan, it's all the mental psychological approach. As far as the physical application of it, they know that. But the biggest thing we actually tell them to do, because when you're moving out into maintenance, we share with them, hey, here's how you can actually slowly bring your calories up. Reverse dieting. Here we go. Because guess what? They've been through on a long journey and they've slowly stepped their calories down. So we actually have a whole plan for them to slowly step their calories back up in phased approaches. But at the same time, and this is the toughest part for a lot of people to swallow. Pun intended. But I'm sorry. Just bodybuilding humor, right? I had to throw it. You guys will get it.
Get it.
But the fact that they can never go back to what their life was. And so it's a lifelong commitment. And as much as we tell them that over the course of the year, a lot of times it's like, okay, that's nice. I still can't wait to party my butt off when this is all done. And I'm like, but you can't party like you used to. It's like,
get home and have those huge meals and donuts and ice cream and
day after day after day after day. And it's so easy for them to slip back into that. So yes, we set them up for that, but we'll also tell them so I'm going to give you, this is the secret behind the psychological approach that we take that's so wildly effective. Transformation is not rooted in diet and exercise. That's a physical change, but it's actually rooted in integrity. And so when we actually start our people off, we change the conversation, and it's always about personal integrity, doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And so when someone commits to walking on the treadmill for 15 minutes, if they do 14 minutes and 58 seconds, they're not ready. In fact, we kick people off the show. Even in casting, get off. You're not ready. It's like you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. That's how we build their confidence. That's how we build them up. So there's something really profound that we actually found in everyone who's gained the weight back. Every single issue of case of weight regain can be traced back to one single broken promise that they made after the journey.
Really?
Right when the journey ended, So let's rewind. Here's a really good story for you, if you guys don't mind. My friend, David, who was 630 pounds, helped him lose 400 pounds. So he gained it all back. And he kept it off. He kept it off for 5 years. At 5 years, he was 250 pounds. And normally, if you look at those statistics, when people keep their weight off for that long, the chances of them keeping it off for a lot longer, they're insanely high. He gained it all back. And then he's in a nursing home right now, and his body's starting to fall apart on him because it just can't handle the weight anymore. He moved in with me and my ex-wife and my kids actually a couple years ago as we were helping him just get his life back under control and helping him back on the weight loss journey. Moved in with us for 10 months. And so we would stay up late at night, just like old best friends like we are. And we were talking, and I said, hey, bro, can you trace it back to the moment when you started to gain it all? He said, I can take you back to the second when it happened.
Really?
And he said, yep. And anyone who's been out there who's regained weight, this is my challenge to anyone who's out there listening, who's going through that journey of ups and downs. Anytime that you regain the weight, you can always trace it back to that single broken promise that you made to yourself. Whether that promise was said out loud or whether it was silent, but it's just something that you've always done every day. It's how you've made yourself a priority. You broke it, and then you broke it the next day, you broke it the next day, and that's the backslide. He said every single day. So when I started with David, he's not a food addict, believe it or not. He was a soda addict. So he would drink about 3 gallons of Coke a day.
Wow.
It's a lot.
3 gallons?
But remember working with David, it was amazing because everything was on such a grand scale.
Sure.
So he drank 3 gallons. So what we did early in his journey is the first thing we did was the first step for him was swapping out Coke for Diet Coke. And I would buy him flats of 24 Diet Cokes, and he would literally go through a flat a day, 24.
Wow.
All day long. But guess what? I got him to lose 400 pounds.
Yeah.
So part of his journey, and as he was keeping it off, he was still drinking a couple gallons of Diet Coke a day. But every single day, he would start his day with his 64-ounce cup, and he'd go to Circle K, and he'd put it under the ice thing, fill it up with ice, then he would go put it under the Diet Coke, put the top on, walk out the door, go to work. He said, I will take you back to the day I started gaining the weight back. I walked into Circle K with my cup. You know where this is going.
Yeah.
He said, I filled it up with ice. I went to put it under the Diet Coke. I looked over at the Coca-Cola nozzle and thought, and he said, and I even said it to myself inside. He said, I'm going to regret this. And he filled it up with Coke. Put the top on, walked out.
And that was the beginning.
That was it. And he walked back in the next day, filled it up with Coke. Walked it back in 4 hours later.
Why do you think he couldn't get, because they always say, if you have a bad day, just start back. So in that case, what advice would you give him on day 2 to say, don't do this, don't go down that path?
So I spent a lot of time thinking about this. And that's where there's thinking about this, not just in his situation, because I realized it all started with the broken promise way back when. I mean, this is years ago. We started tracing everything back to a moment when someone, they had their regimen, that they had committed them, they had a contract. Whether it was in writing or not, they had a contract with themselves that they would do something every day, and then they broke it. And then they broke it the next day, and the next day, and the next day. That's how it all comes back. And so tracing that back, this is what we end up putting together a formula, and it is tried and true for anyone who breaks that promise. You have to heal the broken promise. And the way you do that is you gotta confess. This is why the journey of transformation is not an individual journey. No man is an island. We need other people to do this. You gotta have a super friend. And when we call a super friend someone who I can go to and be like, hey, Alina, I messed up. I had a Coke, and I it's tearing me up inside. And you're not gonna go, you idiot. How the heck could you do that? You threw it all away. No, a super friend goes, hey, I get it. And thank you so much for sharing that with me. You know what? Let's do something about it. Okay, so great, you told me, thanks. Let's take a look at what this commitment is. Do we want to reassess this commitment, or can you recommit to it, and can we continue on? I said, I can recommit, I can do this. All right, let's shake on it. Awesome. Now I've cleared it. It's not weighing on me anymore. But when we keep that a secret, when you slip up, you break that promise and you keep it a secret, guess what? It's gonna take you down. You have to unload it. You gotta share it, give it to somebody, and just know that you're still lovable and you're loved and everything. And when you can do that, when you can confess, so this is the formula: confess, reassess, recommit.
Okay, that's powerful too, because that plays into, outside of just extreme weight loss, that plays into athletes who may have missed their fasted cardio. Or
definitely. How many of the athletes don't just break their diets? They cheat on their diets. You have a lot of athletes. I have a lot of athletes. They send me their check-in pics, and I'm like, I can see you didn't diet this week.
Right. Yes.
I guarantee you, if you had a support system, or they had one person that they know that they could reach out to if something went off the rails, in a moment, you can get that athlete back on track so fast.
So it's not about tough love. It's about
accountability.
Does tough love play a part too?
It can be, but right off the bat, remember when they're coming to you, the first thing, here's the deal. no human ever wants to confess.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come to you and tell you about my moments of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and you think it's weak.
Beat me down more.
So you can beat, because I'm already beating myself up internally.
Yeah.
As delicious as it was, and by the way, I don't want to tell you because I want to protect that addiction because I want to do it again tomorrow.
Yes.
But I know it's going to pull me down, and I just know I got to tell you, okay, I got to tell you, this is what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
And I need to know right off the bat. That's the tough part. Leave it aside for now.
Mm-hmm.
Love right off the bat. Love and empathy. And I'm here for you, compassion. But here's the tough part comes in the recommit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, do you want to recommit? Is this something you really, really want? Like, I'm here to love you. I love you, you're good. Hey, let's reassess this. Awesome, you good? Now, do you really want to recommit?
Yeah.
Are you going to do it tomorrow? Or is this something that you're going to stick to?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then it's just about finding that balance.
These are some amazing tools.
You know, I've been doing this for quite some time, and it's the power behind it. And the power's not in a treadmill. It's not in salmon. It's not in rice. It's not in the food or the exercise. The power's in here. And when you speak to that, and like to this and to this, you can really change a human.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna talk more about that after this commercial break.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
And we're back here. Chris, we want to hear 2 of your most successful stories on this transformation, either on the TV show or on your own.
Oh gosh. Okay, so on the TV show,
you gotta pick one. You gotta pick one. You gotta
can't
pick
pick
one.
a favorite child, right? I mean, a couple of my buddies. I mean, gosh. Here's the thing. What if they watch this? You know, like I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I mean, there's just so many incredible ones. You know, my buddy Bob Brenner from season 3, just a great. He's one of many, but you know what's really remarkable about him? Not only is he just a super cool dude, we just had a blast, but he blew out both of his knees. Early on. He blew out
the show?
Blew out his first knee a month before the show.
Oh, okay.
Blew out his second knee a month into the show. Oh. So he couldn't, and he was on a journey to lose like 200 pounds. Dude couldn't walk. I mean, he could, but he would like hobble. So there goes any weight-bearing exercises. And that's like, great. Now I can't utilize the largest
muscle group.
Like metabolic machinery on his body, which is his glutes, his quads, and the hands. I can't use them like I need to and I want to. What can I do? The dude swam, he boxed, nothing got in his way. And it was just so cool in a year. And he ended up like breaking our records. He ended up losing like 240 something pounds.
Wow.
I mean, it's just remarkable.
That's interesting because again, he's like, hey, no limit mentality.
That's it.
I like it.
And he said, and honestly, he said, yeah. I mean, and how often you hear someone, I blew out my knee, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I blew out my knee. Just blew out my other knee. And by the way, nothing's gonna stop me because I do know that nutrition drives everything. And I'm gonna take what I can do and I'm just gonna use it. So I can swim, I can box, I can sit there, I can do anything, obviously upper body, and whatever I can find to do lower body. Nothing stopped him. He was flexible in his approach. He's got 2 brand new knees now, he's good to go. But I mean, it's so remarkable to see. That's the power of the human mind right there. And if they really want something, nothing's gonna stop them. They'll find a way. Gosh, now outside of the show, you know, it's been really cool. So like, and this isn't a pitch or anything, but I built an app. I started a whole company, the Transform app, and every week I get to see a 75-pound weight loss, 100-pound weight loss, 130 pounds lost on the app, which I built it as like the continuation of like for people that couldn't get selected for the show, hey, here's the process we take our people through. Yeah. So it was awesome. We actually, a couple years back, we went out and surprised a gentleman in New York City. He's from Nova Scotia, actually, but he ended up going down to New York and we surprised him there. He lost 100 pounds using our app, and it was
That's
just
awesome.
a family man, and he just changed his life, and it was just so cool. His name is Cam, and just a great guy.
I will say, I've personally seen the whole production of the stage 1 of Transform, and it was years in the making. I've even gone through the app. It's amazing. It's
hefty.
Incredible.
Yeah, we built a lot, and we're actually we're rebuilding it to kind of get back to the roots of helping people through the journey. Because you get into it and you're like, oh, I want to do cross training, and I'm going to build this out here, and I want to build, and it's like, wait a second, let's get back to the roots of what we are and help people just through the journey of weight loss transformation. Another incredible story, though, I got to share this with you. Jackie, season 2. They actually told her she had PCOS, and the doctors told her that she would never ever have children. We've probably heard this story a handful of times, and she needed to lose weight, but even after that, they said, just based on where your body's at, I'm so sorry. And she's the sweetest woman in the world. All she's ever wanted was just to be a mom. She ended up losing the weight, adopted the healthy lifestyle. So this is back in 2011. She's still at her ideal weight, and she's a mom of 3, which is just like,
that is beautiful.
It's amazing, and she's such a wonderful person, and her husband Sean, and now she's got these 3 beautiful baby girls, and it's just like that's what it's all about. It's not about weight loss. It's about the freedom that comes with it, and the opportunity and the experiences that you can have when you're healthy.
And as a trainer, there's so many people in our audience in the sport who we are athletes, we kind of live and breathe this lifestyle, CrossFit, bodybuilding, whatever, but we're also trainers, we're also coaches. And that is what's the most rewarding. People say, why do you love what you do? Seeing the positive impact you have on people's lives and helping save their lives, the longevity, that's powerful. That's what motivates me personally, and I know for most trainers. So in your experience, what advice do you have for trainers? Because sometimes people watching the show, they just work with athletes or people who are looking to compete. But there's plenty of people who do lifestyle coaching. What advice do you have for trainers who maybe are working with people who are looking to lose 100, 200 pounds weight? That's a totally different type of coaching, let's be honest.
It is a very different kind of coaching, and I'm going to go back to the mantra that we use. I mentioned it earlier. Just remember this: you can have all the knowledge in the world. By the way, there's a lot of trainers out there that know far more than I ever will about biomechanics and physiology and nutrition science and all that. But your clients, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah, and sure. That's kind of boil it down.
It is empathy and compassion. That's what will change lives. And so if you have that genuine passion for it, great, you're in the right place. If you don't, and if you find yourself frustrated with people, look, I get it. Frustration is a natural part of this process, but if you can't feel their pain, then maybe you should look to train other people, like a different population. Because you need to meet them where they are, and then take them one step at a time. And the other thing, so many trainers, they want to take them from A to Z.
Yeah.
You just take them from A to B. They got to get to B first before they can even make it to C.
It's a slow process.
Yes, be patient, and just, if your client makes it to B, what a win.
Yeah.
And you celebrate the heck, relish every bit of that. If they make that substitution from Coke to Diet Coke, holy smokes.
Yeah.
That just made your week. And if it's sticking, obviously. And that's the one thing is really when it comes to massive transformation, be patient. Be patient with yourself, be patient with your clients. And again, just baby steps along the way, and celebrate. You got to be sure to celebrate all of those wins along the way, and it makes a big difference. And boy, the whole thing becomes that much more enjoyable when you can celebrate those baby steps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is some beautiful, beautiful advice, right?
Oh, thank you.
I know.
Thank you.
And amazing stories, too. I mean, you have so many, which is really, really cool. Even more so, because you started as, 24 years old with this idea of, I'm going to save this guy's life. and it's created this career, and now you've recently launched a nonprofit.
Yes.
Tell us about that real quick.
So Move 1 Million. I'm little backstory. You know, I'm a talker guy, so like I hope you guys knew what you're getting yourselves into when you invited me on the show. I've been gone through a lot of crazy changes in my personal life. Whitney, you know this. I separated from my wife, and if anyone's who's gone through that, through divorce, I found myself in a place where I was. You're lost. You're trying to find your new identity as this person, and at the same time, I found myself clamoring for financial success. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm all by myself now. Got to make money. So I started 3 businesses and all this other stuff, and then I found myself doing a lot of reflecting at night. And I like to climb stuff and change my perspective. So I started climbing these buttes out in the East Valley where I can see all the lights of the city. Started climbing up there and really trying to ponder, like, where's happiness? Is it in financial success? Because I kept thinking that's where I'm going to find happiness, because I couldn't find myself after this divorce.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to find happiness when my bank account's got X amount of dollars. And then when I was up there, it dawned on me, I was like, I'm not going to find happiness or purpose or fulfillment there. And I'm looking out at all these lights, 4.5 million in just the Phoenix metro area, and I said, I'm going to find happiness when I serve these people. And that's where the whole concept, I just thought, I need to start a service project. I don't know what it is yet, but I see 4.5 million lights in front of me. By the way, we're about a month into COVID at this time, and so quarantine and everyone's locked in their homes, and I'm seeing the reports of anxiety, depression, suicide through the roof. Everyone's sedentary, no one's moving anymore, and I'm thinking, what can I do? What are the tools that I have now that I could do and I could create and I could give to all these people to help them? So I said, okay, I'm gonna start a service project. I went down the hill, my heart felt full. I'm like, this is amazing, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I turned on the TV, I'm not kidding you. The night that this happened, I turned on the TV and I'm watching a documentary on Japan. And in Japan, in 1928, the emperor had a problem. He had a growing population. They were divided because there was villages that were growing into cities, and he wanted to bring his people together. Think back a year, you turn on the TV, there's riots everywhere.
Right.
We're in the middle of COVID, everyone's quarantined, like people are just pissed and miserable. And so the emperor, he was trying to deal with all these like division in his country, and at the same time, they were dying between 40 and 45 years old. He believed in the power of movement together as a whole, as a community, and so he mandated in schools, corporations, everything, 3.5 minutes of movement. He brought in radio from the United States, and so at 6:30 every morning, every school, every factory, every corporation, they played 3.5 minutes of music, and the whole entire country did the same 13 standardized movements to music. Fast forward to 1955, Japan's the healthiest country in the world. He brought his country together powerfully so well that by 1945, the US actually prohibited Ragio Taiso, radio calisthenics. We stopped them from doing that because he built his armies doing movement together in unison. And then we allowed them to bring it back in 1952, 1955, in one generation. Japan's the healthiest country in the world. They've held the top 5 spots, or one of the top 5 for the last 6 decades straight. Today, 92 years later after it was mandated, 27 million continue to do Ragio Taiso every single day. I saw that and I went, this is what we need now. We're more divided than ever. We're more sedentary than ever. More anxiety, depression, suicide than ever. What if we did this, but a new version of it? My degree is biomechanics and physiology. I love this stuff. I looked at the movements and said, I can build something better. I can do this. So I created 13 movements. I created the music. I put the music to it that tells the story. We enact the hero's journey in a total body warm-up for 2.5 minutes. So I started that. And then I tacked on 2 minutes of mindfulness, like meditate. I can't say meditation, it's mindfulness exercises afterwards. So it's movement, 2.5 minutes of movement, 2 minutes of mindfulness that's finished with positive intentions. I built a free app around it. It's on the Google Play Store, it's on the App Store as well.
That is amazing.
You can, any hospital, any organization, any school can register for it. They get a free broadcast, they can customize it for themselves. The teachers now project it into their classrooms, and after the Pledge of Allegiance, all the kids remain standing. Now they do Move 1 Million. So it got adopted by the city of Mesa. We're in talks with the city of Goodyear, the city of Tucson. Phoenix Children's Hospital is adopting it. So now we just started, we opened up our doors 4 months ago.
Wow.
We're moving over 70,000 people a day.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible.
It's been so cool, and it's the first step. And a body in motion will remain in motion. And now we're moving, and it's mostly kids, and we're moving all of these kids, and they're learning a standardized movement that they will know for the rest of their lives. They'll always have that first step. Because I spent my life working with people that didn't know where to start.
Yeah.
Now
they have a starting point.
the next generation, they will all know where to start to transform their lives.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's Move 1
very
Million.
powerful.
Wow.
We're off to a good start.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
4 months.
Right?
Woo, that's exciting.
It was a service project. I was just trying to find happiness.
You need to go climbing more.
Right? You think? Yeah, right?
Let these ideas flow.
No, it's been fun. It's been really cool.
That is exciting.
Look for it in a public school near you.
Yeah.
Your kids, especially K through 6, they'll all be doing it. So.
I love it. Move 1 Million by Chris Powell. Amazing.
We're on our way.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us, especially in studio. We love your energy and your passion.
Likewise.
And it's awesome because obviously you've had so many years of experience and sharing some valuable tools and knowledge that we all can learn from and benefit. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Alina.
This was very valuable.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of FemFlex Friday. We will see you next time.